Have you ever stopped to think about how much we buy without even realizing it? You walk into a store not wanting anything, but you leave with something in your hand. You see an ad, and out of nowhere you feel like you need that object. You feel like you need it, but do you really? In Japan, the answer to that is different. There, some people have decided to live in a way that dismantles that created need. They don't try to resist, they simply live differently. And maybe that's what you're missing too. We grew up hearing that having more is better, that success is measured by the size of your house, by the amount of stuff you accumulate. But in Japan, many people already understand that this is a trap that never closes. It's never enough, it's never sufficient, so they started cutting back, they started choosing what stays, what really needs to stay. It's not about giving up everything, it's about making peace with what is already yours. And living in peace with that. Imagine opening your closet and seeing only what you really like. Imagine walking through your house without tripping over excess, without that suffocating feeling of invisible clutter. Japanese minimalism isn't an aesthetic to decorate photos on Instagram. It's an entire life redefined. When you have less, you feel more. When you have less, you enjoy more. And that's where everything starts to change without you even realizing it. They talk a lot about respecting space, but it's not just physical space. It's the space inside you too. That silence you feel when you look at an empty room, which used to give you anxiety, over time turns into peace. In Japan, this empty space is as important as any beautiful piece of furniture because it breathes. And when the space breathes, you breathe too. Now think about the way we shop. Think about how quickly we give in to the first impulse. In Japan, the rule is different. Buy only when it makes sense. Buy with intention. It's not waiting for the sale. It's not buying because, what if I need it someday? It's asking yourself, do I need this now? Will this really improve my life? And if the answer doesn't come easily, they don't even take it. It's a choice that goes beyond money. It's about respect. Respect for yourself, for what you've built, for your time. And it's curious, because when you start living like this, joy shifts its place. You don't feel that fleeting happiness of opening a new bag. You feel a happiness that stays, that spreads to the small things. A coffee enjoyed calmly, a day without rushing, an afternoon without having to run anywhere. In Japanese minimalism, happiness doesn't live on the shelf. It lives in the now. It lives in the life that's happening while we're too busy trying to buy something to fill the void. But for that to happen, there's a secret that many people forget. Protect yourself from the stimulus. Advertising doesn't stop. Storefronts don't stop. The internet doesn't stop. And if you don't create barriers, you'll never stop either. The Japanese know this. They choose not to look. They choose not to enter. They choose not to expose themselves. It's not resistance. It's wisdom. It's knowing that no one is strong all the time, so it's better not to play with fire. And the result of that? It's a life that isn't measured by what's missing or by what's left over. It's a life that's measured by what matters. You don't need another bag, another watch, another pair of shoes. You need time. You need space. You need silence. And above all, you need a more honest relationship with everything that is already yours. Deep down, it's as if the real luxury wasn't what you buy, but what you manage to conserve within yourself. A gratitude that doesn't depend on price. A joy that doesn't depend on novelty, a good feeling of looking around and feeling that everything that's there has a reason to be there, that nothing weighs you down, that nothing occupies space without purpose, that nothing holds you back. And you? Have you stopped to really look around you? Have you asked yourself how much of what's there really is part of you? Or are you also collecting weight without even realizing it? If so, maybe it's time to start over, to make more conscious choices, to respect your own spaces, to let what is essential breathe, because living with less isn't living with lack. Living with less is, in fact, living with more presence, more meaning, more freedom. It's not about giving up beauty On the contrary, it's about finding beauty in the things you already have, in the simplicity of what you already are. And that's a kind of wealth that no one can take away from you. When you stop filling voids with purchases, you'll discover a type of satisfaction that doesn't end when the novelty wears off. You'll discover that the silence of the empty space can be more welcoming than any new object. You'll realize that your time is worth much more than any sale. In Japan, they live like this, without needing to fill their eyes with fake shine, without needing to chase after what doesn't make sense, without needing to prove anything to anyone. And who knows, you might be ready for that too. Not to be perfect, not to follow rules, but to live lighter. More whole, more you. Are you ready to stop chasing after what doesn't take you anywhere? Are you ready to open up space, to create silence, to let life really enter? You don't need another quick fix. You don't need another promise of happiness packaged in something that can be bought. You need courage. Courage to look at everything you've accumulated and really ask what still makes sense. It's not about throwing everything away. It's not about living like a monk. It's about freeing yourself from the obligation to have. And then, yes, starting to choose what stays. In Japan, this choice happens every day. It's not a weekend project, it's not a trend, it's a silent practice which shapes who the person is. When you understand that each object around you carries a weight, you start to think twice before bringing anything new into your life, not because it's bad to have things, but because excess wears you down, drains your energy, drains your attention, and little by little, without realizing it, you stop living to take care of what shouldn't have even reached you. Have you ever felt that your space seems smaller than it is? Have you ever felt that even having everything you wanted, something is still missing? Maybe it's because you've never given space for life to really breathe in there. Every occupied corner, every full shelf, every overflowing closet, it's as if it were another layer of noise. And when the noise is constant, we don't even realize how much it hurts. In Japan, they've learned that empty space is where calm lives. It's where true wealth lives. Now take a deep breath and think deep. How many times have you bought something thinking that it would solve something inside you? How many times have you looked in the mall for what you could only find in silence? How many times have you pressed the buy button thinking you were choosing, when in reality you were just trying to plug a hole? Japanese minimalism doesn't come with an instruction manual. It doesn't have a closed list of what you can or can't have. It doesn't have fixed rules. It has principles. It has intention, and it has enormous respect for what is simple, for what is essential. It's not an obligation to deprive yourself. It's a freedom not to need everything. Have you noticed how our culture pushes us to have more, to want more, to accumulate more, as if it were only possible to be happy after achieving everything? In Japan, they follow the opposite path. They don't wait to have everything to live. They live better with less. And when you understand that, the pieces start to fit together in a way you didn't even know was possible. You start to realize that each thing you buy to fill a void creates another void next to it. That the pleasure of having is always fleeting. That the need for more never ends. And that what you're looking for outside will never solve what's missing inside, not in the way you imagine. The change doesn't start with the closet. It doesn't start with the house. It starts inside. It starts when you stop looking outside for the peace that you only find in the space you build around you. A space where things have meaning, where the choices are conscious, where each object has a name, has a story, has a real reason to be there. Have you stopped to think about what really matters to you? Not what they said should matter, not what advertising sold you, what is truly yours. Because if you still haven't stopped, maybe you're living life on autopilot. And on autopilot, we accumulate without seeing. We spend without thinking. We fill the space and empty the heart. Japanese minimalism is an invitation to make peace with what already exists. It's a way of looking inward and asking, do I really need all this? Can I be who I am with less? Can I find happiness in what cannot be bought, cannot be wrapped, cannot be paid in installments? When you start asking yourself these things, the world changes. Not because the world outside has changed, but because you have changed. You started to choose. You started to respect your space, your time, your life. And that's priceless. There's a detail that almost no one notices. Japanese minimalism is also a protection, a silent armor against the constant pressure to consume. When you decide that your worth doesn't depend on what you have, no one can sell you what you don't need. You stop being a hostage. You stop being an easy target. Have you ever thought how liberating it would be to be able to look at a storefront and not feel anything at all? To be able to watch an ad and smile knowing that it doesn't get to you anymore? To be able to walk into a store and leave empty-handed and still feel full of heart? In Japan, they live that. They practice that freedom every day. And you can too. But of course, it's not easy. It's not fast. You've been trained your whole life to believe that you need more. You've been taught to measure your happiness by what you possess. Breaking with that hurts. It's scary. It feels like you're swimming against a current that seems infinite. But on the other side, there's something you don't find in consumption: peace. The peace that comes when the house breathes, when the wardrobe doesn't suffocate, when the eyes find space to rest, when your time is spent living and not organizing what should never have entered, when what you have is enough, when who you are is enough. Have you ever wondered how much time of your life you wasted organizing what you bought without thinking? Have you ever wondered how many times you postponed your happiness, waiting for the next package, for the next delivery, for the next purchase? What if it didn't have to be like that anymore? In Japan, they show that there is another way, a way where life is made of what really matters, where memories are more valuable than merchandise, where the lightness of having less transforms everything around you. And maybe what you've been looking for so long is precisely that, the lightness that comes when you stop carrying what you don't need. Japanese minimalism isn't a trend, it's not a fashion, it's not an aesthetic, it's a choice. It's a way of being in the world with less weight, with less rush, with less noise, and with more life, more space for what matters, more time to feel, more presence to live. Can you imagine your life without this endless race for more? Can you imagine what would be left if you took away everything that is excess? What was left would be truly yours. It would be yours because it was chosen, because it was loved, because it's part of who you are. And then, looking at your house, your closet, your agenda, what is really part of you? What is essential? What would you keep if you had to start over now, from scratch? If you had never bought to fill the void, what would you have chosen to take into your life? This is the question that Japanese minimalism asks, and there is no right answer. There is only the answer that is yours, the answer that is born when you stop repeating what they expect of you and start listening to what you really feel. Because deep down, living with less is living more fully, more present, more true. You don't need more, you need less. And you need, above all, courage to start. You came this far because something inside you already knew. You knew that the answer was never in what you haven't bought yet, that the feeling of emptiness that insists on appearing even after so many efforts will never be resolved with more weight, more junk, more distraction. You felt it, you realized it, and now that you're here, there's no going back. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to ignore it? Are you going to pretend you didn't feel that call? Are you going to keep pushing back the life that could be lighter, more yours, more true? Japanese minimalism isn't promising you an untouched paradise. That's not it. It's just showing you that there is a different way, a way that respects who you really are, a way that doesn't need 1,000 objects to feel complete, that doesn't need a full closet to feel valuable, that doesn't need more accumulated achievements to feel worthy. Have you ever thought how many choices in your life were made on autopilot? How many times did you say yes to something you didn't even want? How many times did you fill a space that didn't even need to be filled? Not because you wanted to, but because the world shouts all the time that you need more, that you need to be more, that you need to chase after something that always seems to escape. What if you didn't need to run anymore? Think about it. Freeing yourself isn't abandoning everything. It's finally taking control. It's looking at your life and deciding that you're no longer going to be pulled in all directions by impulses that aren't even yours. It's saying no. It's choosing. It's understanding that true abundance isn't in the things you accumulate. It's in the space you create. It's in the peace you build. In Japan, this awareness is cultivated in silence. It's not trumpeted. It's not displayed. It happens in small choices, in small gestures, in one less object that occupies more space inside the heart, in an afternoon without shopping where time seems longer, in a room where only the essential rests, and therefore the mind also rests. And you? Have you given space for this type of life to be born inside you? Have you looked honestly at the excesses that you still carry? Have you asked yourself if it still makes sense to keep accumulating? Maybe today is the first step. Maybe today you'll start to realize that it's not about changing everything at once. It's about seeing where life has become too heavy, about seeing where the noise has covered what was simple, about seeing where the excess has suffocated what was alive. Every object less is a chance to breathe a little deeper. Every impulse contained is a freedom gained. Every empty space created is a silent declaration, I am enough. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter what they sell. It doesn't matter what they expect of you. Can you feel it coming from within? Can you feel this possibility opening up? It's not a formula. It's not a ready-made recipe. It's just a choice, a decision, a beginning. And if you allow yourself, you'll discover that what remains after the excess is gone isn't emptiness. It's space for everything you've always sought, but never found on crowded shelves, in overflowing closets, in full shopping carts. What remains is silence. What remains is time. What remains is presence. What remains is life, real life. You don't have to continue as if nothing has changed after everything you've felt now. You don't have to ignore the desire to do things differently. You don't have to settle for the rush, the anxiety, the constant feeling of falling behind. Japanese minimalism is here to remind you that living simpler is living more freely, lighter, more connected to what matters, and that choice is yours alone. No one can do it for you. Now tell me, are you going back to the same old routine as if nothing happened? Are you going to distract yourself again until you forget what you felt now? Or are you going to start, even if slowly, even if afraid, even without having all the answers? If you've made it this far, it wasn't by chance. It wasn't just curiosity. It was because a part of you already understands that there's another way to live. And now it's up to you to decide whether you'll take another step in that direction or not. If this resonated with you, comment here, I am ready. Leave it recorded, write it down. Declare to yourself that you no longer want to carry what isn't yours, that you no longer want to live suffocated by what doesn't fulfill you, that you want to live with what is real, with what is yours, with what is enough. And if this touched something inside, stay with me, because the next step can further transform the way you see your life, your choices, your spaces. You don't need everything. You just need to start living with what truly matters. Can you feel that silence now? That space that opened up as you followed me this far? It's not just in the text. It's not just in your mind. It's in the way you look at everything. It's as if somehow a part of you wants to stay. Stay in this space that doesn't weigh you down. Stay in this space where you breathe deeper, feel more whole, live more awake. And even so, I know, part of you still hesitates. Part of you still tries to hold on to what no longer makes sense, because letting go of excess is scary, because excess has become protection, because excess filled a place you didn't know how to care for. But now you know, now you see. And then comes the question you might be trying to avoid. How long are you going to carry what drags you away from who you really are? You can't run forever. Sooner or later, life demands it. Sooner or later, the exhaustion weighs more than the desire to keep everything as it is. Sooner or later, the empty space screams louder than the comfort of what is known. And at that moment, either you listen or you continue to get lost. Japanese minimalism isn't about turning you into a person without desires. It's not about making you give up what makes you vibrate. It's about giving you back the choice so that you have the courage to keep only what is truly yours, only what moves you, only what honors you. And that courage is born in small actions, an emptied drawer, a purchase postponed, a conscious yes to what really matters. Each of these choices is like opening a crack for life to enter. And you need this life. You need this freedom that excess never gave you. Have you ever noticed how difficult it is to even decide what to wear, what to use, what to do when everything around you is excess? The mind gets tired, the body feels heavy, the soul screams softly until you don't even hear it anymore, and everything becomes a big silent mess which you pretend you've gotten used to. But deep down, you know it doesn't make sense anymore. Now, if you've understood all this, if you've felt this real desire to change, answer me. What's still holding you back? Fear of making mistakes, fear of looking strange, fear of regretting it, fear of discovering that living with less demands more of you than you imagined? Whatever it is, let me tell you something. You don't need absolute courage to start. You just need to take the first step. Small, imperfect, confused, but real. Only then will you open up enough space for the new to arrive, for peace to find a home within. Japanese minimalism teaches this every day. Conscious choice, respected space, living presence. You don't have to throw everything away at once. You just need to start choosing again. Choosing from who you are today, not from who they said you should be. And each of these choices will build your new life. A life where you look around and see meaning in everything that remained. A life where you recognize yourself in your own choices. A life where you don't need more to feel complete. You will still encounter resistance from within and from without. You will still hear voices saying that it's an exaggeration, that it's unnecessary, that it's a waste of time. And in those moments, you will need to remember you are the one who feels the weight. You are the one who carries the invisible mess. You are the one who pays the price of excess every day. So only you can decide whether it's worth continuing as you are, or whether it's time to build a new way of living. And I want to ask you now, for real, looking directly at you, are you going to let fear be stronger than the desire to be lighter? If deep down you already know that you no longer want to live suffocated, if deep down you already feel that you need more space, more peace, more silence, then write here for yourself. I choose the essential. Write that down, even if it's just for you. Write it to make it clear that you heard this call, that you won't ignore what you felt, that you won't go back to the routine as if nothing happened. And if this resonated with you, if you felt that this isn't just about objects, but about the entire life you can still build, then stay with me, because the next step is even deeper. The next step is learning to live with presence, to live for real, to live fully. Because in the end, it's not about giving up things. It's about reclaiming what you left behind while chasing what you never needed. Tell me, are you ready to rescue what has always been yours? Share this blessed video so it can touch and help other people like you and me. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being part of our faith community. If you would like to support our channel a little more, consider becoming a member of our channel. I leave here 2 more videos so that you can continue your search. Thank you, and God bless everyone. See you later. Description: discover how Japanese minimalism can transform your life from the inside out. In this video, we'll dive into a new way of looking at what's essential, freeing you from the excesses that only take up space and take away your peace. If you feel tired of endless consumption, of the invisible mess that weighs down your daily life, here you will find a different path. More lightness, more meaning, more presence. Minimalism in Japan is not just an aesthetic, it is a philosophy of life that respects space, time, and the essence of each choice. Learn how to have fewer things and more freedom, fewer distractions and more clarity, less rush and more real life. We'll talk about Japanese minimalism, minimalist lifestyle, conscious consumption organization, and simplicity, detachment, and emotional freedom. How to apply minimalism in everyday life. If you are looking for a life with more purpose, less weight, and more peace, this video is for you. Leave in the comments, I choose the essential, and come build a new way of living with me. Subscribe and activate the bell to receive more content about Japanese minimalism, personal organization, purpose, and intentional living.